How's it going, Ding Dongs? It has been a while because the weather here has been terrible. Remember I said spring is finally here and it looks like it's here to stay?
It's false. No way. Not this time.
Total lie. It snowed, it rained for 2 weeks, it's been like 30 degrees, it's awful. So thank you, Chicago, for listening. That was great. Weather turned out awesome for the last 3 weeks. Finally nice, and it's still gonna rain more this week, but at least it's like in the 40s, 50s, so I could actually work on the car. I'm gonna wire in the plugs for the fog lights. And we're gonna change some wiring on the PDM, but I have to take the center console out. Hopefully I can take it out without the shifter, because the shifter's kind of hard to take out. Yeah, we're gonna change some pins. I realized I'm not using as much power as I thought I would, so some pins don't need to use 2 pins like I am using. Like the ignition, for example, does not need 50 amps. I'm gonna start taking this apart. Let's get right into it. Like that. The PDM is revealed. The keyboard needs to get unplugged. Oil pressure sensor and the wires for the wideband are long enough that I can just hang it, because the wideband has like 4 plugs and it's annoying. But here's the PDM and all the wiring for the car. So the green stuff is all the chassis wiring. That's like the pedal switch, some other switches and stuff and random crap. So that's on a 15 amp. Then I have the wideband on its own power, which doesn't need to be. I have the keyboard on its own power, which doesn't need to be. And I have the ECU on its own power, which doesn't need to be. So I'm going to combine the keyboard, ECU, and wideband into 1 pin. And then I have the fan also on 2 pins. That's this right here, the blue one. The fan you see is on 2 pins. See white and blue right there? That's going to get split into just 1. It doesn't need to be. I figured out a way to get it to draw less amps on inrush. And then also the ignition is currently on 2 pins. And start depinning stuff. Let me get the laptop to see what pin is everything in. Get started taking this apart. Sorry for the flickering, but we got the laptop, we got the pin out, and we're gonna see what's going on. So first off, fan is output 1 and 2. 1 and 2, it's pins 38 and 39. So I think I'm gonna remove, actually, first I'm gonna do the ignition. So the ignition, pins 14, or output 14, 15. 15 is 27. That footage looked like ass because my phone focused on my arm and then everything was blurry. I have removed pins 6 and 7, which was keyboard and wideband. Those are depinned right here. See that? Those are depinned. And I also depinned the ECU, which is right here. And I'm going to combine all those 3 into 1 pin. All I'm going to do is take the sheathing back here, combine these 2 in 1 pin, and then splice them into this. Put a heat shrink over it and plug this back in, and that will be done. You see the wideband isn't turning on right now, even though the car is on right now. The ignition. So ignition is now only 1 pin. You see I cut that wire. I don't know if you could see that. See that? This used to be 2 wires. I cut that wire off. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. I don't really care. One more thing to do is the fan, and I'll show you how I got the PWM working on that. Alright, everything is spliced together, so look, when I plug in the PDM plug, everything should turn on. Is the keyboard on? Oh, the keyboard's unplugged, but the wideband is on, and I think the ECU is on, but the keyboard's unplugged. And there we go. Keyboard works, wideband works, and I'm hoping the ECU works. That's all done. So now The ignition is cut. Now I need to set up the fan. I need to deepin the fan with one wire. All right, let's do that next. So, here's what I did. I cleaned up this wire right here. This is for the left turn signal. It was a little fucked up. I removed the second pin from the fan wire and I heat shrinked it so it's clean, and then I still have to reheat shrink the ignition power. But let's see what happens when I turn the fan on, if it will overcurrent or if it will be okay. So keyboard and everything's on. Oh, still overcurrent. Okay. How much power is it gonna pull? Perfect. So I just had to raise the length of the inrush. But you see how now it only, you hear that vibrating? So that's PWM, so it's turning on and off the fan very quickly in short bursts. So this is what worked. God, the flickering is so annoying. So this is what kind of worked. 35 hertz for 1 second. So for 1 second, it will turn the fan on and off at 35 times a second. So 35 clicks of the MOSFET. Let's try it again. Very cool. See, the fans only pull like 20 amps and it's a 25 amp output, so it's not a problem. Cool beans, that's working. All right, now that we have a bunch of pins free, so we have output 2, 6, 7, and 14, and those are all high amp outputs. We can utilize those now to do other stuff. So some of the things I want to do is daylight running lights, fog lights. Eventually I'm going to have a secondary water pump and electric power steering, so those are pretty high amp devices, and I'm gonna need pins for those. So I've been pushing this wire. This is gonna be my fog light wire. Been pushing it through the sheath all the way, pushing it for like a half hour now. So it's inside the car now, and I couldn't push it anymore. It was just crumbling or, you know, bending at the beginning.
In the beginning.
And I had this bright idea. So I pulled it out. I pulled out how much length I need, and now I'm just feeding it back in. That's way easier. So if you're ever feeding wire through sheathing, just pull it out, pull out how much length you need, and then feed it right back in through the same hole. And it's way easier because you're not fighting all that friction. And it made it through. Here's the fog light wire. I'm gonna pin this into pin 39, which is output 2, I think. And because that's gonna be right next to the headlights and the fan. So this is the fan right here. And then I think that's like turn signal, I think headlights, brake lights, I think. So might as well just put it right there. So that's gonna be sick. Daytime running lights, I think I'm just gonna run off of the headlights, and I'm gonna put a light sensor on the headlights. I'll try to figure out some sort of light sensor switch, so then they'll have automatic headlights that will just turn on when it's dark and turn off when it's light out, which would be sick. Fog light power in pin 2, and we have this switch for the fog lights. So you see when I hit that switch, off, active, off, active. And now the most important part, gotta put a fog light sticker on it. And there we have it. Fog lights are wired. These two are gonna go away. I have a different switch. It's like a toggle switch I'm gonna put right here because I always forget to turn these off. And yeah, these are just stuff's gonna change. This will probably move over here, or maybe the wipers will move over here. Yeah, I'm gonna move stuff around. That's the nice thing about this. I can just pull the cap off, put it somewhere else, change it in there. So nothing's permanent. That's the beauty of this whole system. It's getting cold. You can see the sun is setting. I'm gonna go eat dinner, and then hopefully I'll have enough time today before it gets dark to actually run the wires to the other side, and then run the grounds and splice into these plugs that have been sitting on the roof all day. All right, I'll be right back. Alright, got the fog light. This wiring is good. Still need to heat shrink it, but fine for now. Plug that in. This is just a prototype, so the light beam is a little off and it doesn't really fit that well. But the final version is great. Alright, yep, this doesn't fit. But let's go test it out. And hit the fog light. Turn on. Oh yeah, look. It's pointing way high. Alright, I'm back a couple days later. I had to go to Harbor Freight and get some zip ties. I don't know if I filmed this, but all the wiring is done. So there's the two wires for the fog lights, power and ground, fed it through here, so wires are still nice and hidden, tucked away. I'm gonna zip tie all this up, and then I'm gonna install these. These are still a prototype, but you can buy the final version on the website now. It doesn't have this, and it's a little different. This top part is cut out so that the light can point up more, and it's also moved up. You see how big the gap is at the top? So the whole light is moved up so then it can point down more, and then I cut out the top, which makes it point up more, or gives you the ability to point up more, so that, you know, depending on the rake of your car, you can adjust these lights to however you want, and they'll fit perfectly. Correct beam pattern and all that stuff, so you don't blind people while you're driving with these bright ass lights, because these are 100% brighter than your headlights. Alright, I'm just going to temporarily install these just to see how they look, all lit up and everything, and I'm going to see how the beam pattern is and all that. So these are still prototypes. I think even these ones I changed a little bit even more. Like the angle that wasn't totally flat, so that is a perfect fit. I'm going to put the car on the driveway and close the garage and see how the light pattern is. Alright, ready? I'm going to turn these on. Okay, they're way too far down. See? This is why the newest version is able to point up higher. Because that's too low. Okay, so this one's not bad. I actually don't know how high headlights are, or fog lights are supposed to be. So that's the headlights. These are HIDs, you can tell they're warming up. But dude, the fog lights are way brighter. Cool. So this is the SAE fog light pattern that they have. But yeah, the new or the final version is able to point up higher, but I think this is perfect. Let's go take it for a drive, see how it looks driving around. Headlights, fog lights. They're way brighter than the headlights. Sorry if it's hard to hear me, but god damn, look at this. HID headlights, fog lights. So yeah, that's how bright my fog lights are that I sell. Well, I sell the adapter. Diode Dynamics makes the fog light, but that is insane. Alright, ding dongs, that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys liked the fog lights I created. I still don't have any installed because those were prototype, and I'm working on something else, so those aren't gonna be the only ones. There's gonna be different versions coming with different types of lights and different accents, I'll say. Also, if you're wondering, these are 95s. 92s coming as well, you see? 92s have to be much smaller, and the only positive is these can be printed in one piece. So 92s are coming as well this weekend, literally tomorrow. So this video is gonna come out Friday. Tomorrow I'm gonna go to Caesar's house again. We're gonna put these in a car, in a 92 bumper, take pictures and all that. So I'll have good pictures, and those will go for sale. So make sure you follow Strudermade and Ding Dong Drift on Instagram so you could see exactly when these come out, because that's where I post all new products the most. The videos, you know, I kind of just like sneak them in. I showed a little bit of how the whole PDM works, if you haven't seen that before in my previous videos, but it's a pretty awesome little device. It just sucks that it costs like $1,800. Hopefully the weather's gonna start getting warmer. I bought a bunch of POR15 paint, and I'm gonna be painting a lot of stuff. The interior is gonna get painted, so you see the floor is already POR15 with the gray, and I'm gonna do the whole interior. Leave a comment for what color you think I'm gonna do the interior. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before. Also, like I said previously, I have all solid bushings for the rear subframe and diff. The whole subframe is gonna come out. I'm gonna be refinishing that as well. Maybe add some reinforcements. Not that it needs it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just like do the welds up a little more and then paint it also. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you want to see more SC content, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out. America, America, America. Do you have your passport?